Hello friends, welcome. Today we're making a video about crossing over to the afterlife, what most of us call the spirit realm or spirit realms. Also about, what different planes there are in the spirit realm and spiritual evolution within the spirit realm. So, there is no death. That's the truth, because there's no physical life on this world other than it's animated by having a spirit inside of it. So all life on this world has a spirit, a bacteria, a person, a plant, an animal. Everything's got a spirit, and you could say much of it has a soul as well. At death, as soon as the physical body cannot support life, your spirit will either pop out of body and be standing nearby, or floating above yourself, looking down on yourself and other family members around you, maybe because they know you're going to pass. So it's passing over or crossing over. And you can come back in and out of body quite a few times, because you don't die straight away. Suddenly you breathe again and your spirit pops back into you. Or people that have had an accident, paramedics working on them in their ambulance. 1 minute they're out of body, floating behind the ambulance, following it. And the next minute they're, coming around inside the ambulance, being revived. But when you die, as soon as the physical body can't support life, your spirit will move out, because otherwise it would die too. And there's no death of spirit ever. You can have an instant death, but you're instantly brought about again, because you could be in the spirit realm, get run over by a truck and die. And the next thing you know, you're standing on the curb alive. So it would be almost less than a second. That's the way it is, and when we pass over, we come out of body, we're quite happy usually. People, feel emanations of love coming at them, and our portal, our light gets brighter. Our loved ones come from the spirit realm with our spirit guides to help us make the crossing over, the transition from the physical realm to the spiritual realm. So the physical realm, all we are is spirits having a physical existence. Take the spirit out of a person, drop down dead. There is no life without spirit. So our portal gets brighter. We don't have to, but as soon as we come out of body, we'll be clothed for the conditions. If it's winter, we'll have a coat on and stuff. That's what Father God does. And, so you can stay down here for as long as you wish to after you've died. You can go visit your family and do whatever you want to do. But the thing is, you can come back from the spirit realm anytime you want to. Now, our portal of light gets brighter, and we make the crossing over into the spirit realm, and we either stay in the halls of rest, which Father God's created for people that are passing over, or we go and stay with family and friends, and where we want to. So it's easy, and I've heard many spirits say through mediums, it was such a relief. I was suffering in so much pain, to cross over and leave that behind. And Father God is very kind. He puts all spirits back to perfect health. So any deformities you might have would be gone. If you've had a short-term memory loss, it'd be gone. If you've had an arm amputated, you have your arm back. So you'll be in perfect physical health. You'll still be the same age as you are, but once you cross over, you start rejuvenating. Within a couple of years, you're back into your early 20s. So whatever age that you particularly rejuvenate to, but it'd be early 20s probably. And you'll be young and healthy, and living a young and healthy life again with all that maturity that you've gained during your life. And children grow up. If they pass, they grow up in the spirit realms. So that's crossing over, and it's made to be as easy and pleasant as possible. So if you cross over and you want to come back the same day, you can. You just pray to God and ask to come back through your light to the earth plane to see a certain person in a certain place, and you go back to that place and, be able to visit them. But when we cross over, a little orb comes away from our spirit, and we can do it all through that, because that orb is connected to our mind and we are connected to the orb in spirit. and we know what each other's doing, but you can live two separate lives because it's two states of mind. So the orb can be going about its business down here, and the person in spirit can go about their daily things in the spirit realm and kind of know what's going on with each. If they pay more attention, they know more. So those orbs can see, hear, experience different sensations, feelings of cold and hot, and different things, smell. So a lot of the five senses, of course, but they can also clairvoyantly communicate to those who are spiritually aware, such as mediums and the odd person. They can communicate to them, and they sometimes come to us after we've got in bed and going to sleep to communicate, because that's a perfect time. Halfway between consciousness and sleep is a perfect time for spirit to communicate with us, or sometimes in dreams and different things too. Anyway, that's crossing over, and it's easy, and you can come back here any time and visit. You can't reincarnate back from the next plane. You have to be quite an evolved spirit, worked off all karma and different things. So in my mind, it would probably be plane 4. Now, there are 12 planes of spirit. The earth plane is plane 1. Most of us end up going to plane 2, which is a plane just like this world. They got trees, they got grass, they got houses, they got cars, they got work, they got mortgages, they got to mow the grass at the weekend. The only real difference, if you were taken from this world and put into the spirit realm right now, the only real difference you notice is that the light source is artificial. So a slightly different light to here, but you got to all intents and purposes, a physical body, although it's in a much higher vibration. That you are spiritual, really, not physical, but there's a tiny counterpart of physical life within you at a very high vibration. So a lump of latex plastic in the spirit realm, if they brought it down here through the light and could slow its vibration down and down and down and down and down and down and down to the physical level of vibration, it would materialize as latex plastic down here. So they're in a much higher state of vibration or frequency, or whatever you want to call that. And, so spirit don't have to eat or drink, because they're mostly spirit energies, and their chakra energy centers supply all their needs. Apart from God suggests that spirit do eat for that physical counterpart, and to turn their digestive system over once every 125 years. But most people eat every day, just the same as what we do down here. So life isn't that much different, and the next plane's about the same as this world, and the people on it are about the same. So there is no hell. Nobody goes to hell. It does not exist. Everybody goes into the spirit realm. There's no judgment. There's nobody there at the pearly gates waiting to judge you. You go straight in with your loved ones, either to the halls of rest or go stay with them, at their homes. And, so you can't create what you want. You'd have to be a god to do that, wouldn't you? And God doesn't create things for you. He gives you a plane that you're familiar with and that you're used to. Now, the next plane of spirit is more advanced technologically than this plane. They have invented artificial intelligence, true artificial intelligence. And, but they live the way we do, the material life. And the majority of spirit that have crossed over from this plane are still on the next plane, because they got trapped in the material existence. And they're not interested in spiritual evolution. But there are, as I say, 12 planes. Each plane from the next plane is the same as here, basically. But plane 2 is that little bit more spiritually evolved. And plane 3 a bit more. And plane 4 a bit more, and so on. To plane 10. And that's the highest plane that man has yet accomplished. Plane 10. And I don't think on plane 10 they need to go any further onto a higher plane of evolution and learning yet. Because the next plane, plane 11, I believe is a transitional plane between what you are on plane 10 and being God, because God lives on plane 12. So plane 11 is probably a plane where you'd learn to be a god or goddess. And when you become that, you will make the transition onto plane 12 to live with God. In your own place, wherever you want to be. You'll be able to create anything by that point. And you just remember this. People will say, he who tells you you can be God is the devil or whatever, that's rubbish. Every parent wants their children, and Father God no different, to at least get to the same level as them, or even outdo them. But nobody can outdo Father God, can they? But, every parent, God has created us in his image to be like him, so that we will evolve to be gods and goddesses. And that's the spiritual pathway of whether you want to become that or not. And you can start that here by being a good person, a caring person, a loving person. You can be that here. And you can spiritually evolve here. And some people that are quite spiritual and really nice people surpass plane 2 and go to plane 3 because they're that spiritually evolved. So you can do it from this plane, get to plane 3, and that's a much better place than plane 2. I can assure you it is. You'll be a lot happier there. That doesn't mean you can't still travel down to plane 2 if you want to visit relatives that are there, or back to this earth plane, you can. So each plane higher you go to, you can still visit all the planes below to visit those you care about. And if you live on plane 3 but you work on plane 2, that's fine. You can go there every day and back home again, but you find things on plane 3 you can do. So that's the general gist of evolution within the spirit realm, and what you can become, a god or a goddess, and how to do it, through spiritual evolution and, developing your spiritual latent abilities and becoming what you truly are, a child of God. And your energies get greater, your chakras grow and get bigger and more powerful as you evolve up through those planes. And those chakras are God power anyway. They're infinite life force energy that never runs out. So we already have parts of God within us, just not very developed. You develop those things, you become more. And those on plane 10 are much more like Father God than those on plane 2, because they understand some of the things he does. So that's what I'm saying. I believe, don't know, that plane 11 is a transition between being, what we are, evolved spirits on plane 10, and becoming a god. And then you get to plane 12. And you would be able to go off then and, create your own worlds within the universe, probably. I don't know. I'm not there. But I come from plane 10, and I've reincarnated back here from plane 10. Suling, my spirit guide and wife, my past life wife, my present life wife, comes from plane 10 too. And Peter, Citadel, and his brother Jesus Christ live on plane 10. And Octavius, a friend of God, once lived on plane 10, and I knew him. But he has gone off to look after another spirit realm, because there's 200 worlds of God and 200 spirit realms of God, and they're all got similar things. And we're not so very different to each other. So one day we might meet in an infinite time. But these spirits that are now on plane 10, it's going to take an awful long time for them to ever get to plane 11, but they can keep evolving still on plane 10. But I don't know how long it'll be. Hundreds, thousands, millions, billions. Might be that long before they can get to plane 11 and go through that transition stage of finding God powers that they can use. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, friends. Love and light. Neil.